All right, so we're live here, the air with Brian Gregory.
That's right.
My face is frozen.
It's been going on for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it has been going on for about 15 minutes. We're gonna try to work through this. I got Zeke Wager with me here.
The one and only.
He's joining me. He has per usual to talk NFL, and we're gonna talk about the NFL draft today. Some winners and losers.
That's right.
And I'm glad to have you on here, Zeke, and we're gonna be trying to persevere through the technology issues here.
Just so you know, you have me mid parlay, so at any minute I could I could explode. So just prepare yourself for that.
We have a potential for a high blood pressure, Zeke.
Yes, possibly.
Okay, I think I might have fixed it. Okay, here we go. I'm rolling. We're good. We're chilling. Okay, and it actually looks higher quality too. So that freeze was insane. It's that I'm not kidding. That has been happening for like the past 15 minutes. I switched from the Mac camera to the Elgato. So this is how we're gonna roll from here on out. Let me position it here. But yes, we are here to talk draft coverage. This is one of our favorite seasons of the year. As we all know, this is it's very cyclical. The NFL year, cyclical, predictable. We're big free agency guys, but we also love the draft. It's all team building, and then going into summer, of course, you've got the training camps, OTAs, and then the season. But it's a full on cycle, and we embrace that on here. I've got Zeke on to break down some winners and losers of the NFL draft this year, and I will say, just taking a step back, it seems like more teams had winning drafts than losing drafts. And so I just want to say that from the jump.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think this year was a more, a lot of people would say that this draft wasn't really that deep. There was many times throughout the weekend you heard the saying, the players from 20 to 70 aren't that different, right? And I would say that's true. There was a lot of good players, solid players. Good players fell throughout that draft. Fell to multiple different teams. And obviously, the big story of the weekend, Shador Sanders, which I quite honestly, I already told you earlier, I'm exhausted about hearing about it. And I'm quite exhausted about talking about it, but it's obviously must be talked about.
I mean, it won't be too much of a subject here tonight, but
Well, and as it shouldn't, because nobody cares about the Cleveland Browns. Nobody. And if there's one Cleveland Brown fan watching this, I don't apologize.
I mean, that is Zeke's brutal honesty. If you tune in here, you know what you're getting.
That's right.
And so, yeah, there's a lot to break down. I think that a lot of teams had really good drafts here and have a good possibility of hitting on a lot of guys. There were, like you were saying, because there was a big difference between guys in the 20s and guys in the 70s and 80s. It's easy to stockpile those picks and get them right. And there were a lot of really talented guys that fell.
For sure.
And so the smart organizations, they capitalized on it. There was one pick in particular that made Zeke very happy this weekend. He was at a gas station when it came out. Cam Scatterbo, Zeke's favorite running back, going to his beloved Giants.
We just gotta start hot on, don't you? You want to be that kind of guy today. All right.
Oh, we always do.
I think it's total bullshit. All right. And of course, one of my favorite players in the draft has to go to one of the teams I hate the most in the NFL. And all I've been hearing since it is, oh my God, this tandem with Tracy's it's already top 5 in the NFL. I'm like, let's pump the brakes.
Well, for what metric? You're in the same league as Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Right. And listen, I said it last year in the preseason. I like Tracy. I like Tracy going into the season. I'll give the Giants that. It's not that I don't like the player. And Cam, I told you this last year in the preseason. I love him. Didn't play a lot of big time ball. Played at Sacramento State before he went to Arizona State, but dude, he can do everything. He can catch. He runs so hard. Unfortunately, I have to say that I actually like the pick for the Giants, and that kills me to say. It also kills me to say that I think the Giants had a solid draft, and that kills me, but it is the truth. So I'll give the Giants that.
The Giants loaded up this year. The Giants loaded up, and love it or hate it, I think that they've got several picks that can really hit. I like the framework of what they did. I guess naturally we'll start with the Giants here. Let me get them pulled up. Naturally, we'll start with the Giants. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off for old Zeke here. We'll go Giants, and then we'll go Dolphins. How about that?
Yeah, ease it up for me.
Yeah, we're easing into the deep end. We're getting into the pool and working our way in.
I'm going to say this right now: Jackson Dart sucks. Feel how you want to feel. Be in your feelings. He sucks.
I will say the framework, the methodology behind what the Giants did in the first rounds. It very much reminds me of the Texans back in the draft in 2023 when they selected C.J. Stroud and then paired him with Will Anderson. Like the framework reminds me very much of that, getting an edge guy and then getting a quarterback, because they are two of the most valuable positions in the NFL right now. And if you can get those two taken care of, I mean, those are two huge boxes to check off. Now, what differs from what the Texans did back in 2023, obviously, is the guys. I mean, I love Abdul Carter. I'm not sure he's Will Anderson. And Jackson Dart's good, but he's most certainly not C.J. Stroud. And so I watched Jackson Dart in person multiple times, most notably in 2023 when Ole Miss came to Bama, and watched that from the press box. I wasn't enamored. I think he's decent, but I wasn't at all enamored. Like I think that he missed a lot of wide open passes, and that's concerning. But I will say this too. That was at Ole Miss, which is an offensive minded team. But he is going to a team organization now that has Brian Daboll, who does have a reputation for being a quarterback whisperer. And to Daboll's credit, I will give him this. He has not had the chance to get his guy and develop him yet. And this is the first time he's being able to do that. He's been stuck with Daniel Jones the past couple of years. It's been an organizational decision. And now he was finally given the liberty to go out and get his guy. And so this is, I think, the first time we'll truly be able to evaluate Brian Daboll both as a head coach and a crafter developer of this team, because now we have his ingredients in the kitchen. And so I'm curious to see how it turns out.
Sorry, I have some loud people in my house. No, listen, I'm not the biggest fan. I think he fits better as an OC. Head coach wise, not the biggest fan, especially because look how he's done as OC, right? He's worked with Josh Allen, he's worked with Tua at Bama. Hell, he was OC back in Miami back in, I think it was 2012, 2013, around that time. The thing about Jackson Dart for me is, there was many times where he's a turnover machine. He's a little reckless.
Mm-hmm.
And, that doesn't – can it change? Sure. But more times than not, when you turn the ball over a lot like that in college, it's probably going to stay that way in the pros. What game was it, Brian? Where what was it? He threw – now, and we all know I watched college, not as much as you.
Yeah.
I want to say it was – 2 picks in the last 3 minutes or 3 picks in the last 2 minutes, something like that. What big game was that last year?
Florida.
Yeah,
the game sealing pick.
That's the one that everybody gives him a lot of hard issues about. And I think every time I watch him, like 2 years ago when he played in T-Town, obviously I love you, but I root against Alabama.
I know.
That was long before we were friends. You know this. We've had this discussion. So I'm rooting for Ole Miss. I'm sitting there, and this guy's just missing throws that should be easy on the money throws. I'm like, dude, Like, you play in the SEC. Like, you should be better than this. Sometimes some of the simple things he needs to work on. And did you watch the whole thing, the quarterback class with John Gruden?
Yeah, I watched the interview with him.
That shit was hilarious. That's all I'm gonna. You've been clapping for 3 years. I mean, that's hilarious. Great content, I must say.
Yeah, that is John Gruden's really cooking right now.
I hate John Gruden, but sometimes he's got some funny lines.
The Evel Knievel of the NFL.
Like I mean, listen, nothing, and this is off topic of the Giants. Nothing will top what I saw Colin Cowherd said about Riley Leonard being the next Josh Allen of the NFL.
What the hell is that?
That guy's so far out there. He needs to be tested because there's something there. Riley Leonard's another guy.
College. He's got to pump the brakes with talking college.
You think?
He's smart with the NFL. Colin's got to stick with the NFL.
But overall, all I'll say is this. I think the Giants had good value at a lot of their picks. I think Bo, the tackle, to get him, I believe it was 5th round, to get the value you got for him, he was projected about a 2nd, 3rd round guy. That was good value there. Cam Scatterboo was good value. They got good value. And I'm not just going to shit all over them because I hate the Giants as much as I'd love to. I think they had a good draft, other than Jackson Dart not be. And again, Abdul Carter is one of those guys who he has all the athleticism in the world to be an absolute freak. What the foot injury is going to be, who knows? You just, if you feel clearly they felt comfortable enough to take the pick, right? So if you feel comfortable enough, then it is what it is. But Jackson Dart, I'm not a big fan of. Abdul Carter, I am a big fan of, as long as he can stay healthy, which again kills me because played at freaking Penn State. So it doesn't shock me. Penn State, Giants, all people I don't like teaming up together. I'm not surprised.
And they are coming to rule the roost of the NFC East. I've already got Giants fans saying we're winning the Super Bowl this year, and so they're just so you know they're coming.
Yeah, I know. We got another white quarterback from Ole Miss. You know what happened last time? And I told you a couple of weeks ago. Remember, I said, "Watch, this is exactly what they're going to say if this happens." I said it to you on the phone, so prepare yourself because it's exactly what's going to happen.
The narrative builds. The narrative builds.
Hey, at least you don't live in New York anymore. It's all I'm going to be hearing for months.
I know. I'm down here in the Lone Star State. Trust me, we got the Cowboys to deal with here, but I'm far removed from that, and that's not. I don't complain about that at all. I'm grateful for that every day.
Now, one more thing about the Giants. What do you do in this situation? Because you know how rookie quarterbacks can be, right? It's like a Christmas gift. You want to open it. You want to see what you got, right? How long until that Giants fan base starts chanting for Jackson Dart at games and wanting Russ benched, but then you got Jameis behind him. It's a situation where I just feel like they might not have handled it the best way they could have, obviously, just because.
I'll put it to you this way. I like the fact that they have Jackson Dart, and I like the fact that they have Russell Wilson, because I think that Russ is a guy that you can have start for more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be a just this year thing. And I say that because I don't think that Jackson Dart is ready for NFL combat this year. I think he's an unrefined product, very much like Jordan Love, and he was taken right around the spot that Jordan Love was taken in the 2021 draft, which is definitely, or no, forgive me, 2020, which is curious to me. I think the Giants are trying to work the same thing, and so I say that because I think compared to when they got Daniel Jones, that the Giants have a lot more of a vision here. And I think they've been more intentional about building a culture than they were in 2019. I think they threw gel to a wall and hope it stick back then. And that was back in the Joe Judge day, too. Now they have Brian Daboll. I like Brian Daboll better than Joe Judge. Do I think he's the best coach out there? No, but this is a better situation. And having Russ there with Jackson Dart, I think is great too, just because he can extend beyond a year and Jackson Dart can have some time behind him. And if I'm a Giants, I don't rush this at all.
What about Jameis?
Jameis is a glue guy. Like that's why you bring in somebody like him at this point. Like I'm not. I love Jameis Winston, but I'm not realistically expecting him to have many snaps. Like I think he's really a guy.
No, and they already said Russ is the starter. It's just more of like, you know how the New York market can be. It can be ruthless. And then people are going to want Jackson Dart midway through the season, and it's going to be, especially with, you know how Russ can be sometimes behind the scenes, you know, as far as, you know, he's Russell Wilson. Does he really want to go to the bench? I don't think so. So and it's just going to get louder and louder because it's New York. So it's just one of those situations where it has the potential to get uncomfortable, you know, and hopefully they don't get in that position, but it's definitely it's a possibility.
Well, I'm gonna use a Paulie Walnuts line here on the Giants. Oddly enough,
okay.
Boss's family says you're Santa Claus. You're Santa Claus, so shut the fuck up about it.
That's fair.
There it is. So New York media, Giants fans, I'm gonna be harsh here. Shut up and let the front office work. Right? Nobody needs to hear your input. Nobody needs to hear your opinion. They have a plan in place. Just let them cook. Let Russ cook. Right? Bringing that line back. Let Russ cook. Let them do their thing, and it will be Jackson Dart's time at some point. But just let them do their thing. But I want to bring up the Dolphins to you now, okay. Being the avid Dolphin fan that you are.
Some would say. Some would say I'm a Dolphin fan, yeah.
And then others out there say that you're a front runner, and so you know I don't know what you think about those allegations.
I think they're absolutely ridiculous. Anybody that's got the balls to come up to me and actually say that deserves a clean slap.
We got a comment from Jansen Roberts here saying us Saints fans are not happy at all. Until Loomis retires or gets fired, we'll have to suffer through these tough years. And I honestly have to agree, Jansen. It's ever since y'all lost Drew Brees, it's been rough living it has not been easy living in the Big Easy. Well, playing words there, but yeah.
The hard thing that's got to be for Saints fans too is, you know, they took the approach all in for so long and kicked the can down the road time and time again with the salary cap, right? And they didn't get it. They didn't get it with Drew Brees, and that, you know, at that point, obviously, you know, the other Super Bowl, but at that time frame near the end there, you know, those rosters were good enough. It just didn't get there, and so you kind of feel like, damn, you know, you ripped apart a lot of your foundation for, you know, for years to come because you went all in. It didn't work, so it's hard. I feel bad for Saints fans. I really do.
I mean, at least the salary cap situation is starting to get better, and that I like Kelvin Banks. A lot of analysts had him first on their board, either first or second. Yeah. A lot of them had him over Will Campbell, and so I think that's a good addition for him. That's something positive. The Tyler Shogg pick is interesting. I mean, I don't know if you remember the tape from him at the combine. And I know you and I think about the combine, but it's still a pretty, you know, him being all the way up in the second round is definitely kind of eyebrow raising. And then I like Danny Stutzman, but outside of that, I wasn't really such a pop off the board about the Saints.
Yeah, no, the Saints. I mean, as far as the quarterback pick, like, could you have gone a different direction? Yeah, you probably should have, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It was one of those classes, dude. It's just like, You know, it's I don't know.
And they've also got they're getting bit with the bad luck bug too. I mean, that Derek Carr injury, that's not something that you anticipate at all. Like that's a huge blow. Like you don't foresee that coming. That's almost like when the Colts lost Andrew Luck leading up to the season in 2019 when he retired. I mean, granted, not the same situation. You know, it's a bit earlier in the season, and it's not just retirement, but it's a huge blow that nobody knew about, and boom, all of a sudden here it is.
Yeah, I think there's something weird with how that all went. I don't know. Something to me there is a little not right. What exactly, I don't know. Something doesn't seem right with that whole situation, though.
Yeah, how he just suddenly got injured. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is that, but the way it all went down just didn't really. Something's not clicking there for me, but
it's a little fishy.
Well, it's a little fishy. Not that Derek Carr can really bring you to where you want to be anyway, even though it's
Yeah.
one of the weaker divisions in football. But
Well, not to use a good segue, but I'm going to anyways. Speaking of fishy, let's talk about your Miami Dolphins. Kenneth Grant in the first round was interesting to me. I was not expecting that at all. I mean, I know you're kind of assy on it, so. But what are your thoughts on the Dolphins draft overall?
overall, I thought it was a solid draft, not a great draft. I think Miami's put themselves in a situation where they couldn't go best player available. They couldn't go BPA. They had to go by need. Defensive tackle, big need. Corner, big need. Safety is a need, but Greer will tell you they already have the starting 2 safeties in the building, which I disagree, but whatever. The trenches had to be addressed, right? Armstead retires. You're going to have Patrick Paul, who we drafted in the second round last year, having to start at left tackle, and that's fine, right? Use the second round asset on him. That's it. He's got to play at some point. But the trenches have been something that should have been taken care of a while ago. I feel like Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, they took too long to address this, and now they put themselves in a situation where they felt pressed to overdo it. I think, you could say what you want at the 13th pick about, oh, you could have gone here, you could have gone there. As far as Kenneth Grant goes, in the base 34, he's a true nose tackle. He's a big body. He's going to be a Vince Wilfork type. He's going to step up the middle, but he's got a motor. I mean, that guy's chasing down running backs. They kept showing the one play from the Penn State game where he chased down the running back 15, 20 yards downfield. The guy's got a motor on him for his size. He's gigantic. And Chris Greer said after night one, he said, yeah, I had teams behind me calling and saying, damn, you took our guy. We really like Kenneth Grant. A lot of people will tell you that Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham were kind of right there with each other in their eyes. Kenneth Grant did more of the dirty work, which is true. Kenneth Grant, and this is from multiple people that watch 10,000 hours of film more than I do, right? Gruden will tell you, Joel Klatt, a lot of these guys have said, Kenneth Grant, when they watch him on film, he has potential to be one of the best defenders in this draft.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, potential is one thing and production is another. So you hope it pans out. I think it was the smarter decision because of the fact that, like I said, he's got a motor. He's more athletic. Now, the defensive tackle class that we were talking about a little bit ago was really deep. So you could have probably waited around, but I just – and I told you before, Will Johnson at corner, right? Because of that whole knee thing that popped up, because of the fact it's a potential long-term issue, that obviously took a lot of teams away. That's why he fell into the second round. So I didn't really want to go corner either. So I'm comfortable with Kenneth Grant there.
Still got a Michigan man, and you love that.
That pisses me off too. Man, you know how to ruin something good. You know
that? I'm very good at that.
So I liked the pick. Especially in a year where the board's good, but it's not great. So I thought the value there was good. Second round, my boy from Arizona. I'm gonna butcher the last name. Them damn Samoans, their last names are Savanaya. It's around that is how you say it. Jonah is his first name. Shocker.
I'm sure Enzo Cuenca would know how to pronounce it.
Oh, 100%. The guy's a legend. It's funny because my best friend, one of my best friends' name is Jonah, and Miami drafted a Jonah and a Zeke.
I was gonna say, yeah, Zeke Biggers in the 7th round.
Right. So me and Jonah are going to be coming to a town near you and winning ball games. That's what we do. But last time they traded up to get him, and they traded with the Raiders to move up to get him in the second round. He's gonna start a guard right away, so we don't have to watch Liam Eichenberg anymore. Because I would probably jump off a bridge if I had to watch another season of that. Truly one of the worst offensive linemen I've ever watched play the game of football, or whatever he's doing. I don't even think he's playing football. But ultimately, I thought it was a good trade up. It gives me a little bit of anxiety because the fact that last time Chris Greer did trade up in the second round for a lineman, it was Liam Eichenberg. So that's a little scary for me. And Chris Greer doesn't really value guards that much, and we've seen that over the years. Last time he traded up was for Liam Eichenberg. The other time he took a guard in the second round was the $100 million man, my boy Robert Hunt, which was a very solid pick. So it's real up in the air. I think for a guy his size, he moves quick. He's versatile. He's played tackle. I don't really think he could play tackle in the league. His athleticism doesn't really fit for a tackle in the league. He's definitely more of a inside guy, and he said it in interviews. Guard is where I feel at home. So I don't think you push him out to tackle just cause. So I like that pick. I think a sneaky pick that I like for Miami was Ollie Gordon. Now the 23 tape was insane, right? Ollie Gordon had an amazing year at Oklahoma State, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" He's projected, early 2024. He's projected in the next draft to be a first rounder and all this great stuff, right? 2024, a little bit of a down year. Oklahoma State's offensive line was not very good. The offense wasn't very good. So part of that is the team. Part of that he's banged up a little bit. Now, do I think that it was justified for him to fall all the way down to where he did? No, not at all.
Sixth round. If you told me last year at the time that Ollie Gordon would be in the sixth round, I'd think you're insane.
Right. And Miami needed a bigger back. So in those short yardage where Miami has struggled for the last couple of years significantly. And sixth round, once you get in the sixth round, you're going based off potential. You're going based off of you like a couple things about this guy. You feel like you can mold him. You feel like you can put him in certain packages. He will help. And I feel like for a sixth round pick, it was 100% worth the shot. Just like I see people all up in arms about how could you possibly spend a seventh round pick on Quinn Ewers? I'm like, you're really going to give them a hard time about spending a seventh round pick on Quinn Ewers, who before last season everyone was like, first round pick, first round guy. Like, it's so ridiculous, some of these people and their reactions. You could have used that seventh round pick on so and so. Like, brother, it's not that deep.
You really slept on Shiloh Sanders.
Yeah, like you're gonna lose sleep that you didn't draft a corner from William and Mary. Like, brother,
you could have translated.
It's ridiculous, and I'm willing to miss out on somebody because of that. Like, Quinn Ewers was another guy who, for that value, it's worth the shot. Do I think he's going to be an elite quarterback? No, obviously not. But could he be a good backup in the league? 100% in the right system, and he fits Mike McDaniel's system. A seventh round pick for that, I feel like was really good value.
Oh, I love it. I mean, if he's sitting on the board, and that's another guy. If you'd have told me last year that Quinn Ewers would be a seventh round pick, I would think you're insane. Like I didn't think it was a bona fide first or anything, but I definitely pictured like second, third round, seventh. That the Dolphins seemed to just get those guys had high stocks the year before that kind of fell off in 2024, and the Finns were there. They were washed up in the sea, and the Finns picked them up.
This guy sucks.
I know you loved that
one. Overall, cornerback is going to be a situation that you guys see how this whole Ramsey ordeal goes. Him and Mike McDaniel are apparently not meshing well, and that's kind of why they both agreed to go separate ways. Could they fix it? Who knows? I think at this point it's better to move on. Cornerback's got me a little worried. But the draft is one of those ones where corner was not great. And we didn't take one until I believe it was the fifth. I believe it was Jason Marshall Jr. from Florida. Which whatever, fifth round. It's again potential. Had a potential, didn't reach his highest potential at Florida. I think overall Miami did the best with what they had. I mean, I thought it was an all right draft from Chris Greer.
with the resources you had this year. there's only so much you can do, and I think that the Dolphins capitalized as much as they could. I've got a winner here, and you're gonna hate them. Start off with this one too.
Hmm.
The New England Patriots.
Oh my God, dude, what did I do to you today? You're on
Hey,
fire.
I have another one in the FC North. I think that did a pretty good job. But I wanted to start with the New England Patriots because they did have a bang up draft with Will Campbell. I love that to protect Drake May.
Yeah.
I think that going into your second year with a quarterback who showed a lot of promise last year, the best way to legitimately build something and be intentional about the foundation you're building is to get a lineman. Like it's usually the progression. You show strides in the first year, you get a lineman, and then you get that star receiver. I know they got Stephon Diggs too. That'll be interesting to see. It's funny that he is pairing with Drake May, just like he paired with Josh Allen a couple years ago, and all of a sudden Josh Allen became one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to insinuate that the same thing will happen here, but the recipe is in place. I think that New England does take a huge jump this year, given how the free agency went and their draft went. They're looking great. You could. I said this the other day, and I think it holds true. You could tell an immediate difference now that Mike Vrabel's in the building compared to Gerard Mayo. These picks that they're making, like you kind of like the Giants. You feel the sense of direction now. Travion Henderson, I think, was a fantastic pick in the second round. That's a high value running back from Ohio State. Of course, I know you're going to bring that up. And then getting the receiver Kyle Williams was huge. I like the Braden Swinson pick. Craig Woodson, the safety out of California. Their needs all over the place. I think that they button them up, they cover them, and New England is well on their way to being a contender.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's definitely an identity there. Last year I kind of felt like New England was just doing things to do things. They didn't really have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, well, you're probably not going to do much.
Sayonara.
No, they're finally addressing the offensive side, right? Like you got your quarterback, got to get protection. If you don't have, I don't care what weapons you have. If you do not have protection for your quarterback, especially a young quarterback, to help build his confidence, you are going to be doomed. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So I like the Will Campbell pick. Obviously, Travion Henderson, come on. Dog. Absolute dog.
I know you're going to emphasize that.
Can be a home run hitter. I mean, he can bring it to the end zone on any carry. He's a legit guy. And the thing I like about him, too, is he can catch out of the backfield. And on top of that, he's got a little nastiness in him. The way in pass protection, he blows guys up.
Oh, yeah.
Or straight up off of their feet. It's great. He's got that physicality to him. He's a great blocker. Travion Henderson is a great asset in so many ways. 100%. And Kyle Williams, you can't go too much into, well, he played at Washington State, which, I mean, that is unfortunate for him. But he still was very productive. And he was a guy that the Dolphins even brought in for a pre-draft visit, very productive guy. I think that was a good pick to go with Diggs. And unfortunately, again, you put me in a situation where I had to say on camera, I thought the Patriots had a good draft.
Well, there you go. I'm sure that all of the Patriots apologists will appreciate the fact that you let that cat out of the bag.
Yeah. Listen, I told you this before I got on here with you for an hour. Talking to my dad, and my dad he's already, getting all, he's all excited. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. We'll see. I think me and Pops and my brother are probably gonna go to Gillette and watch that this year. And so help me God.
That's gonna be a spicy game.
Yeah. All right, buddy. I know.
That's gonna be like if Cholula hot sauce were a game, it would be that game.
I don't like any sauce.
It's all about the sauce. Well, let me tell you who doesn't have too much sauce, but who has no sauce at all after this draft. The Atlanta Falcons. And I feel bad because Future made that song and he's from Atlanta. So I kind of feel bad, but that's the case for the Falcons right now. I mean, I like the Jalen Walker pick, the edge from Georgia. Like I was high on Jalen Walker his his stock was rising leading up to the draft. He's a great guy to get after your quarterback, very physical. So I like that pick. But then I think that we were all pretty much swept up off of our feet in a bad way when they traded up to number 26 overall pick in the draft to select James Pierce, who could have been available in the second round. And this is also a very deep draft for edge rushers and guys on the defensive line. So they could have waited to get that guy as well. But it's not the fact they moved up to get him. It's the fact that they gave up a future first rounder and a draft next year that could be a lot deeper than this one was. And so it's I think a huge opportunity that the Falcons cost themselves with that decision. I mean, I like the Xavier Watts pick. I like the Billy Bone pick. Those are two guys I liked a lot in college. But that James Pierce pick, that was wow. Yeah.
That Xavier Watts pick, I like that a lot. He sat on the board for a while, and he was a takeaway machine at Notre Dame. I really liked that pick for them. I'm not a big fan of moving future assets. It's you don't want to seem desperate, dude, and to give up a first, I mean that's just irresponsible.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt your future. And James Pierce, he was a good player at Tennessee. There's character issues there. That's why a lot of guys had him falling a little bit and weren't in love too much with him. But to give up a future first, like you have to be sold to the point where you're like, okay, this guy is going to be a franchise guy. This guy is going to mean something to this organization big time. And I don't. And now listen, 5 years from now, we could be sitting here, we could be totally wrong. But as it stands right now, I don't see that being the case. So again, Atlanta does things where you just scratch your head and you're like, what are you doing? Like what? Like in the Super Bowl, they kept passing the ball. What are you doing?
Or like Michael Penix Jr. last year, number 8 overall.
Yeah, well,
after signing Kirk Cousins,
they put themselves in a shit position. They never should have gave Kirk Cousins that contract to begin with. I'm sorry.
If Michael Penix was your guy all along, then why not just commit to that?
Right, because realistically, you knew he was most likely going to be there. So to give Kirk coming off that injury that money is crazy. So overall, I get it. They've been hurting on the edge for a while in Atlanta, and they brought Judon in the other year, and they've tried to do things, and it just hasn't worked. And so they're trying to be aggressive, and I get it. But there's a difference between aggressive and desperate.
And reckless, too. I mean, I think that's what for here is just reckless.
100%. 100%. And that's why Atlanta continues to be where they are. And I feel bad for them. So those are probably one of my biggest, if not the biggest loser of the draft to me.
They are probably the biggest loser of the draft to me, and not far behind them. I find the Cincinnati Bengals, who like once again, they just disappoint me. Because just like the Falcons, I want them to be good. I love Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. They had that magical run back in 2021. I thought that was fantastic. I want to see it get reincarnated again. I almost wish they won the Super Bowl that year because just to top the story off. But ever since then, it's declined because, well, the one side of the field that they do not address that they really need to is the secondary. So, you've got pick number 17 here. You not only have Will Johnson still available and Nick Emanuel still available, but you have Jahdae Barron still on the board. And you go with Shamar Stewart, whoever you all watched my mock draft, I did not have Shamar Stewart going in the first round. And that was intentional because even though I think he has a lot of upside, he's very fast, he's very twitchy. There's also a lot of fundamental concerns there. I thought that he was being kind of overhyped after a while just because of his combine and that sort of thing. He was getting overhyped. And so I did not have him where a lot of people did. Well, of course, the Bengals get him at number 17. And I think that this will end up being the reach of the first round this year because there's not a lot of certainty at all there. I just look at this and it's a weird, wonky draft. We talk secondary. They got a linebacker. They got 2 linebackers. I do like Barrett Carter from Clemson. He's a guy I've liked for years. But there's no cornerbacks. and there's no safeties for a team that desperately needs a quarterback and a safety. I mean, you saw, to use Nick Saban's line, all year last year, you saw defenses run through them like shit through a tin horn.
Yeah.
And you would think, yeah, let's address that. Nothing in free agency, nothing in the draft. So we're going into the season with the same shit that you had last year, and you're going to get an expected different result. And every Bengals game will be exactly like it was last year. It'll be the Daytona 500. It'll be a race every single time. It's going to be a track meet. We're going to be looking at, 38-35, 41-38. Yeah, these will be Bengals scores this year. And you are in the AFC North. That's not how football's played in the AFC North. It is not the Big 12 in the mid-2010s. This is the AFC North. You've got the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns who hit you in the mouth and play physical brand of football, and you have to be ready for that. And while, yes, the Bengals have better skill guys than any of those teams, nobody in that division has a Jamar Chase. Nobody in that division has a Joe Burrow. I'm sorry to the Lamar fans out there. I think Lamar is great. He's not Joe Burrow. Nobody has guys like that in this division. And you continue to fail to address the defensive side of the ball, the secondary. It's mind blowing. It really is. I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't.
Well, it's hard, right? Like you can't address everything with one pick, so it's hard. But obviously, secondary things obviously the more glaring need. It's hard though because Trey Hendrickson's going to potentially get traded, and the D line's going to be even weaker. That defense altogether, defense has just been an issue for Cincinnati for years now, and it's just going to continue to hurt them in the long run. And it's people can say, oh, offense this, offense that. I still stick true to defense wins championships. Look at what the defensive line of Philly did to Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right?
Or look at what Kansas City's line did to Houston.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, George Karlaftis was getting back there all day.
Yep.
There are no George Karlaftises on that defensive line. There's no Jalen Carters on that line. I mean, come on.
No, and when you're disruptive like that defensively, it ruins an offense's day. Like it makes them scramble. It makes them, make poor decisions and where their game plan's all fucked up. So defensively, Cincinnati again it's going to be poor. It's going to be awful. Unfortunately, we don't play Cincinnati. I wish we did because we, probably put up 35, and that'd be great.
An afternoon. You'd have a vintage Tua Waddle day if that were the case.
Oh yeah. And again, I have a lot of respect for Joe Burrow and the way he plays the game, but again, you're not going to be putting up 35 every week. Like it's not sustainable. It's not going to win you championships, and at that point, you're kind of wasting time. And I mean, look how many guys have wasted time in Cincinnati, right? It's one of those organizations that's kind of just there.
Which I hate because I love that fan base. I love Cincy fans. I actually think they're some of the nicest people out there. Like if you actually get to know a few of them, like they're really nice people. They're passionate fans. They travel well. Like they are fans. They invest a lot into their team. They traveled very well down here to Texas for the Cowboys game back in December. There were more. I kid you not, there were more Cincy fans that building than Cowboys fans, and they were louder. And so I'm like, I want to see them win for these people, and it's just year in and year out. It's frustrating. It's tough to watch. It's tough to witness every year. It really is.
Yeah, I feel bad for Cincy, but something's got to change. And at the end of the day, I'm not a big Zach Taylor guy either. Like I'm not. As a head coach, I just feel like they could do better.
Yeah, I mean that's very reasonable to think that as well. It's gonna be interesting to watch. I think coagulate in Cincinnati. But I want to let's on a positive note here. I want to move on to a winner of the draft, the Chicago Bears.
Yes,
these guys hit this thing out of the park.
Yes,
absolutely hit this out of the park. Colson loved him. Colson Loveland. I will say I've always been more of a Tyler Warren guy. But if you gun to my head, I'm going Tyler Warren. But I will say it's also kind of six one half dozen another. I mean, you're looking at a guy in Colson Loveland 6'6", 248, and can run a whip route. I mean, there's very few guys that you're going to see be able to do that, and so
Very dynamic.
He's very dynamic. He's a special player. And then following that up and getting Luther Burden, I mean the quickness there on the exterior, that's going to be huge for Caleb Williams this year. And then getting Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College, so more protection for Caleb. And then the defensive side of the ball, Shamar Turner, who, unlike Shamar Stewart, I thought was very underrated, not talked about enough going into this draft. Just huge home run draft for the Bears. And like New England, I think the Bears are the team this year that you see take the biggest jump.
Well, I think one thing that was very clear about Chicago from the jump of the offseason was they had a game plan, they knew what they wanted, and they went and did it, right? They made the 2 trades in the offensive line with Joe Thuney. And it was Jonah Jackson, right?
Yes.
They went out and got him. Get protection for your quarterback like we were literally just talking about, right? It's the key to success. You don't need Caleb running around back there like he was last year, getting killed all season. So you went and get protection. Now that puts you in a position where, okay, we can go into the draft not having to worry about offensive line as much. It helps you out significantly, right? Let's go get us more weapons for Caleb to have more fun with. So you get him protection and you get him more weapons. I mean, you're going to be looking at offense now with, and again, it comes back to value. Second rounder, Luther Burden everybody had in the first round, right? Obviously a little bit higher at the beginning of the season than at the end, and some of that's on him. Some of that's on the fact that, I don't know, Missouri doesn't have a goddamn quarterback.
Can't argue that.
So, you know, how can you really blame him for a lot of offensive production? Like, what do you want the guy to do? So the value for him in the second, I mean, that's really good value for Chicago. And so to get him those weapons, to have Colson Loveland now, to have Luther Burden with him, to have DJ Moore, you still got Cole Kmet, like, and you got Rome. I love Rome. You know that. Caleb's going to be in a good situation. I think Chicago's starting to turn around. And more importantly, Ben Johnson, what he's going to bring as far as value to that team. They will actually have a true identity on offense. They didn't have that.
I could not agree more. That's been absent from Chicago for years. I haven't seen Chicago address offense in a draft like this in a very long time. And in off seasons, like they're being intentional about building a foundation on offense here. And I'm just warning everyone, just fair warning going into the season. These are not going to be your typical Bears this year. This is going to be a very different team. And so just putting that out there. When you see this team start to take off, when you see it start to really gel and congenialize, don't be surprised because we warned you here first.
Now, am I going to say that I'm the biggest Caleb fan? No. But do I think that the team has potential to be a very good team? Yeah, I think they have potential. You know, obviously it's going to take a couple of years. You know, Ben Johnson's not just going to come in and everything's automatically going to be fixed. It doesn't work like that, right? It's going to take a little time to get into a rhythm, get comfortable with each other. It's going to take a little bit. But they have a foundation. They seem to have a game plan. They know where they want to go. They know what it's going to take to get there. And it seems like they're taking those steps to get there. And so I like it when the Bears are good. I think it's good for the NFL.
I mean, they're one of the NFL's first teams.
Yeah.
And so just seeing a vintage team like that be good, you know, just having your Bears up there, your Packers, your Steelers, I like to see it. They're your vintage team. So as the old school NFL guys that we are, we appreciate when those teams are good and competitive. And now I'm talking about another vintage team here who I think was a winner in this draft. Your defending Super Bowl champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not surprised at all. Howie Roseman, he did his thing again. I swear, and I wish you did the draft coverage the other night. I sincerely apologize for that falling through. That's a whole other.
It's all your fault.
Freaking fiasco. It is. I hold myself accountable. And when they traded up to 31 with the Chiefs, I knew exactly what they were going to do. They went and got Jahad Campbell from Alabama, who I worked with when I was working in player development back in old T-Town. And this guy's an animal. This guy's a freak, and he hits like a freight train. And so Howie once again did his thing. He saw his guy lurking there, and he joshed the Chiefs for the second time this year. And so it's unreal that he actually managed to do this again. And then looking through here too, I think that Andrew Makuba from Texas is a steal. Pick. That's a really good pick. The safety. Smile Mondon from Georgia, the linebacker. I think that's good for depth. And then, I think one of the best picks of the entire draft on day 3, Kyle McCord.
Oh God, don't get it started, please, God.
As an Ohio State guy, one of Zeke's favorites.
No. I'm not a big Kyle McCord guy, and when he went to Syracuse and he had some good games again in the ACC, just saying. People would text me like John Bissett, someone big Syracuse guy, would say, "Dude, how did you not love this guy?" And I'm like, "Well, I can tell you why. Because he sucks."
You're playing Cottonelle defenses. Like, what do you want from me?
Personally, he wasn't my cup of tea. I could see, I could understand the appeal. He's willing to put his body on the line for the team, and you always got to respect that. But especially at Ohio State, dude, he held onto the ball so long, all the time, for no goddamn reason. Get rid of it. Get rid of the goddamn. You're meant to throw it, not hold it.
I mean, there's another Shedeur Sanders thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Philly, dude. Howie Roseman, he outclasses everybody. And he just does it every time on a consistent basis. And it's getting to a point where it's like, I think a couple of us need to get together here. Say, no, Howie, we're not doing this anymore.
No, Howie. No, David. No, Howie.
Well,
it's so bad. I don't know if you're the one that told me this the other day, or I don't know who it was. But I don't know what that noise is out there. It's fucking weird. I don't know who told me the other day, but there's multiple GMs who and front office personnel that block Howie's number on the day of the draft.
I bet
they will not take calls from it when they see a 215 area code come in. They're not answering the phone because they know who it is and they know that he has a trick up his sleeve. It's just he's brilliant, and it's amazing to watch every year. Another team here, same state, the Keystone State, Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I thought that they had some really fitting guys.
Yeah.
They always go defense, and they always go for the same kind of guy. Like there's your Pittsburgh kind of guy out there, and they seem to address that. Of course, one of the best stories of the draft, like I want to highlight here, Derek Harmon, the night of the draft, he got drafted several minutes or hours before his mom passed away, and my prayers go out to his family and support system, and that's one of the worst things you could possibly hear. It was a very sad story, and so my prayers are up for him. It's like you said, it's a bittersweet moment, but I hope to see him succeed in Pittsburgh. I thought that was a great pick on a lot of levels. I mean, for being his size. From the film I watched in Oregon, he's very shifty, like he's very agile, and so like I think he'll be able to do damage on that Pittsburgh line. Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa, obviously you had to fill that gap after Pittsburgh lost Najee Harris. You had to get somebody to pair with Jalen Warren. I was thinking they're going to go Omarion Hampton, but they ended up going with Caleb Johnson, who I think has good upside, and then Jack Sawyer, your guy, another Ohio State guy who I think is an absolute dog. And I think this is one of the best value picks in the entire draft, them being able to get him the 4th round.
Pittsburgh went to the well a couple times at the great Ohio State University.
Yeah. Will Howard, who I'm not going to rule the possibility of him starting.
Oh, no, Well, no. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler.
Do you think so? I honestly don't know.
Yeah, he'll be a Steeler. The way they were talking, the way they've been doing business, he's going to be a Steeler.
But this like well then it's just him. It's just him. Just do it.
Yeah, I know.
Do it.
You know how that shit goes.
Put us out of our misery.
But Will Howard and Jack Sawyer are both guys, not just because they're Ohio State guys, but because of the fact that the way they play the game is just so like you said, fitting to the way Pittsburgh plays football. I mean, Jack Sawyer fits that identity of a Pittsburgh Steeler through and through. I mean, the guy's an animal. Now, is he ever going to be an elite guy? No. I think he's got, one of the knocks on him was his arm length, which I don't get into that. His hands were this, like sometimes he's a football player. Some guys are just good football players. Fuck the measurables. The guy can play. And Jack Sawyer is one of those guys. In big games, he makes big plays. And I think he'll be right at home there in Pittsburgh. And so yeah, I like some of the things Pittsburgh did. Mike Tomlin again. When you get drafted to Pittsburgh, you're in good hands. So that's always got to be a good feeling. It's not one of those ones when you're getting drafted and you see the area code, you're not like, oh shit. I mean, all right.
Oh no, Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, I mean, I'm grateful. I got drafted. You got to put on the whole fake face. No.
I'm playing half my games in London. Let's go.
Yeah. So good for the Steelers. Too bad it might get ruined by Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, good on them.
Well, you've got the Pennsylvania guy sitting there in the bullpen, and I know Pittsburgh loves that. They did it with Kenny Pickett a couple years ago, and they got another Pennsylvania guy and Will Howard in the garage ready to go.
Yeah.
Another team who I think had a really good draft and who's had a good offseason. After thinking about it for a while, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
I love them getting Gray Zabel in the first round. I mean, that's a guy that both you and I really liked. I mean, it's a great interior guy. And a guy that fell who I guess makes sense because of need. Nick Amamari in the second round, South Carolina safety. I love that pick too. Elijah Arroyo, a tight end from Miami. That was very productive. That was huge on this year. They got him. They got my guy, Jalen Milroe from Alabama, and they're pairing him with Robbie Oots. And so I don't know if there's a plan down the line with that, but two Bama guys. Whenever somebody gets two Bama guys, it's going to be good.
Yeah, you hope. Unless for the Giants and Evan Neal. I'm sorry, I had to.
We're not gonna go. We're not gonna go there. We're not.
Well, I just went there. So
we can. I can bring up Cardale Jones.
It's fine by me. Where he ended up.
I can bring him up. The hero of Columbus who didn't do shit.
I didn't do shit. My ass. Seattle had a good draft. Safety is one of those positions, dude, where it's not valued that high for a lot of teams. It's just like guard, which is funny because they literally went guard and then safety. So it's kind of funny, but I think they got two guys who are good players. Gray Zabel is one of those guys. He's just all those guys. Guys from if you're from any Dakota school, I want you.
Yes.
Because you most likely love football. That's what you care about.
I want guys that are going to do the dirty work. I mean, there's something about the heartland.
Yep.
Any of those schools. We're talking North Dakota State.
Yep.
Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota State. Any of those kinds of schools. If I'm talking guys that are in the trenches, fullbacks, tight ends, these are guys that grew up in farm country. These are guys that grew up throwing hay bales. These are the kinds of guys that I want doing the dirty work. These are blue-collar guys. And you see it time and time again. They translate George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, the Watt brothers.
Yep.
Those are guys. Oh, I don't know why I'm going off. That's weird. Those are guys that just translate. And so, that Midwestern guys, Seattle knew a thing or two about what they were doing here. Now, it's like the scene from Happy Gilmore here, right? When the IRS guy walks in the room and he's like, "You're gonna hate me. I know you're gonna hate me." And then he kicks him out the door and he's like, "He hates me." Well, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go Buffalo.
Oh my God.
I think Buffalo had a good draft, and I have other thoughts about Buffalo. This year, I'm starting to become higher on them than I've ever been, and
What?
yeah, I
Oh,
think
well.
I think Buffalo's starting to cook. I'm not gonna lie.
I won't be on this show much this year coming up. That's for damn sure. I'm here for a good time, not a heart attack, pal. So
hey, the offer's on the table. We can go to Buffalo whenever.
you don't mean that because you don't even want to go there. So
I mean, I just want to go to observe. I grew up a Brady Patriots fan, so I feel the way I feel about Buffalo.
no, you
But
don't.
I'm also honest about a lot of these teams.
You grew up a Steeler fan. Let's get
No,
that.
I grew up a Patriot fan for most of the time. I started a Steeler fan, just like I started an Oregon fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I picked them both because of colors, and so we'll
Oh,
put that
that's
to the
cute.
side.
How adorable.
I mean that's what 10-year-olds do, right? Are you shocked?
No.
Yellow pants, 17 uniforms. It's just the kind of thing you like.
Now that comment's kind of crazy. I don't know why you. Anyway, guy cares about a man's pants. That's a whole nother
Yellow
conversation.
pants were cool.
Hey,
cool.
Listen, you getting excited about a man in yellow pants is a conversation.
I was 5, wasn't excited.
It's a conversation for another day.
I was drinking apple juice.
Yeah, you were drinking some kind of juice.
Hey, at least I don't go on wearing teal and orange all the time.
Orange is a good color. All right.
It's a little zesty, just saying.
Zesty. See,
that
word shouldn't even be in your vocabulary, pal.
That's a zesty color scheme.
But at Buffalo, all I can say is burn in hell.
He's the biggest Buffalo fan you'll ever meet.
I hate Buffalo. And you know, I know I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm not gonna go there. Because I know we're not winning the division this year. I'm not gonna get into it with any Bills. I can't.
All right, but before we break down the Bills draft picks, do you think this is the year that Miami breaks the curse of beating Buffalo?
Oh no, we're totally retooling. I've told you this for weeks, and I'm on record. I'm telling you, I text with you, and I'm telling you right now. Miami, if healthy, can be a 10-win team. If banged up, you're looking at a 6 to 7-win team. That's it. Saying it now.
Well, I mean, we will have our preseason shows, but there it is right there in April, and I'm in the same boat. I'm feeling around 8 wins for the Dolphins. I'm going 8 and 9 right now. But as far as Buffalo goes, I love the Maxwell Harrison pick. I mean, he's a very fast corner. I love his coverage. I think that's a great pick for Buffalo, getting TJ Sanders, absolute dog out of South Carolina, the defensive tackle, great for the interior. This one right here, this is one of my favorite picks of. There's two here that are two of my favorite picks of the entire draft.
Okay.
Landon Jackson, the edge rusher.
Yep.
This is a guy that just went under the radar for a lot of teams. But if you go back, he actually played really good against Will Johnson this year, or Will Campbell. Forgive me. He played really good against Will Campbell, bullied him. Just does not get talked about enough. There were several games this year where he was a mismatch, and Landon Jackson's going to be a problem from Arkansas, and then Chase Lunt from UConn. I think that was a huge home run in the 6th round for Buffalo. So just a lot of value guys for the Bills this year.
Well, this is where I hate to be this guy, but I'm going to be that guy. I'm not saying nothing good about him. I will not. Even if inside I feel like I have good things to say, which I do. I will say, as far as the corner they drafted, the thing I like about him, he took every part of that moment of the draft in. And you could tell, he's very thankful to be there. thankful at the fact that he's getting this opportunity. And that's a guy that I want, someone that's grateful for the opportunity that's in front of him, because that means he's actually going to work his ass off. So that part they should be excited about. But as far as that, after that, I'm not saying anything about the Bills because I refuse to, because I hate that organization. I hate its fans. I hate its players. I hate everything about it. So
I can't wait for this season. It's gonna get feisty with Zeke and the Bills. I'm excited for what we have in store.
I want to say something nice. I don't want to be a guy who's up on the show and not saying much about, the team that has some good draft picks, but I'm going to be that guy because, like I said, I hate everything about them. So
he's flying. He's flying under the radar tonight. I respect it.
Got to do it. Go jump through a table.
Kind of. What's that?
Tell their fans we'll jump through another table or something. Why don't you?
That's a little ridiculous. I'm of the group of people that I'm like, all right, like come on, give me a fucking break. But let's talk about a team who I think whose draft kind of flew under the radar, the Los Angeles Chargers. I think had a pretty good draft on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, last year was a year where you could tell the offense was a work in progress. Like, were they better than they were anytime under the previous administration, under Brand Staley? Absolutely. That's not very hard to do. This is another team with kind of like the Patriots. You can tell Jim Harbaugh's in the building now that these picks are being taken. Like, these are legit good picks. Omarion Hampton is going to
home run.
His burst is unbelievable. Hit him and Trey Harris will completely change that offense.
100%.
Trey Harris, a guy from Ole Miss that I like a lot too.
Yeah, no, Hampton was a hell of a pick. Him paired with Najee Harris is going to be a problem.
And I also got Kyle Kennard was a guy from South Carolina that I thought was really good this year. I'm huge on that South Carolina defensive line. It was nasty, and he was an integral part of it. Getting him in the fourth round, the edge guy. I mean, the Chargers were cooking. I don't know what they were on in this draft, but they were cooking.
Well, they have a true leader in that front office, so a true leader of men, and he knows how to get real men. So I'm not surprised. The Hampton pick, I loved it. He's a beast. I have a thing for UNC running backs, though. I was the same way with Javonte Williams when he came up. There's just something about them. I don't know.
Well, they come in there wearing that powder blue and shit, and they
all run hard.
They run hard. There's a certain aura about them. I want to go to a game in Chapel Hill here soon, especially now that we have Bill Belichick there. It's gonna be interesting this year, to say the very least. But
yeah. So someone, maybe we can be the guys to save Bill Belichick. It seems like he is being held hostage. So yeah.
Well, we've been in that region before. We've definitely made our stamp in that central North Carolina region before, and at the prestigious Duke University, and we can very well return and go to the other school in that area. And I said yes, the other school, because they are the other school.
No, the better school you meant.
Yeah. No. They're Duke dominates the area, and then UNC is just kind of there.
Yeah, sure.
They just exist. Them and NC State, they just kind of exist. Yeah.
Hey! I got family that goes to NC State, so you can't. I got to root for the Wolfpack. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, UNC's little brother, and then NC State's baby brother. That's kind of how that works when it comes to Duke.
Yeah, Duke sucks. Go on.
They're those guys. We're gonna end it here with one last team who I think is a winner. And you brought this up on our call, and leading up to the show, we have a pre-show call, and this is a team that really agreed on here that had a really good draft. The Arizona Cardinals. Walter Nolan in the first round, number 16 overall. I think Walter Nolan's solid. Ole Miss went into the transfer portal to get him, and it was a huge home run for them.
Yep.
Will Johnson slipped significantly. That was massive as well. And then being able to get both Will Johnson and Denzel, or I already said Will Johnson, my apologies. Being able to get Jordan Birch, the edge from Oregon. He's been great for the Ducks for years. And then being able to get him, he fell. That was huge. And then this is interesting. They traded to get Denzel Burke. And so you've got an Ohio State and a Michigan corner, and they're going to be in that same room together battling it out. So, may the best man win there, and maybe there'll be some flag planting involved. But it's a that rivalry runs deep, so it'll be interesting to see those guys compete against each other. But this was a very solid draft for the Cardinals, who I can tell they're trying very hard to rebound here. Like they're trying to right the course, and even though it's been a rough past couple of years, things haven't. They're one of those teams where they try to make moves, things haven't amounted. I think at some point, like I saw better strides out of the Cardinals last year than I'd seen in a while. So even though they didn't win the division, didn't make the playoffs, I think that this draft puts them in a position to where they're even closer to doing so now. Unfortunately for them, I think Seattle had a very good offseason, and I think the Rams are the second best team in the NFC. The Niners are taking a step back. They're going on a path that I'm not really big on, but that's another thing for another day. Arizona, even though they're going up against other teams who are having good off seasons, I think they're in a good spot right now.
They are, except you have Kyler Murray at quarterback.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
You're not going to win meaningful football games with Kyler Murray. At least multiple of them. One, maybe. Maybe you'll get lucky and it'll be your day. But multiple, no.
They have the third best quarterback in their division, which isn't going to do much for you.
Yeah.
Maybe fourth.
He's too busy playing Call of Duty at the time. He forgets that, he forgets he has a game. So.
Yeah, that's one of Zeke's favorite guys. He loves Kyler Murray.
Well, and what pisses me off is when he played Miami last year, he absolutely torched us.
Yeah, I know. I know you went to bed feeling real good that night.
Pissed me right off. Trey McBride absolutely kicked our ass all day. No, I like the Cardinals draft. I do. Will Johnson's one of those things where it's not even a knee injury; it's a condition. Just like how it's funny because it brought me back when Miami drafted Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi fell in the draft because he had a knee issue where his knee was bone on bone. There was no cartilage left in his knee, and long term, it's going to affect him. And Jay Ajayi didn't have a very long career. Now, obviously, running back corner are different, but still, your knees are big when you're a corner. So, longevity wise, who knows how long Will Johnson will be around? Hell of a player. I mean, the player itself, there's no way you can't love the player. Again, it's another team I hate to say good things about, but good players, good value. But I hope they fall flat on their face. But yeah, no, ultimately, good for them. Good for them.
You'll come to find Zeke has a very long, extensive shit list.
Yeah, well, it's hard. The older I get, the more I try to not be one of those guys where, when you do me wrong once, I usually am like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm like, no, thanks. After that, I'm
fool me one time, shame on you.
Yeah, but and I try sometimes to give people second chances. Second chances are important, but majority of the times that I've done those things, I have gotten burnt a second time. So it's situation based, and as far as all the situations that we've talked about today, they can all burn in hell.
In their hat.
Yeah. So thanks for that, B. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I had to give you the little nod there. I know we talk about a lot of your favorite teams tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it was interesting draft. Love this time of year. It means football is getting slowly closer. Schedule release is the next thing, and we're getting there. And it's been good so far. It's exciting.
It's going to be an exciting year, and we have an exciting announcement here to end the show with. We're going to be doing this thing every week now.
Yes,
we're going to be doing this every week. The era is also going to be converting into podcast form as well. So we're going to be available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll be doing this here, but the audio will be converted and put on those platforms so that you can listen to us while you're driving and whatnot. So that's been a long time coming, but we're going to be starting to do this live format and podcast format more often. And so it's going to be a thing. And we're going to be doing this a lot, very consistently in the season. It's going to be very exciting. And one of Zeke's favorite lines you hear, expect us.
That's
Because
right.
expect us, because we're going to be there every step of the way.
That's right. It'll be a fun time.
So very exciting things on the horizon for the era, but we will be back next Sunday as well for a show where we're gonna recap some things. And but this has been a very good show. We went an hour and 15. I was expecting to go 40 minutes tonight, but we went an hour and 15. You could talk about the draft all night, and I wanted to go live for the draft. It's one of my big regrets this year that fell apart, but I promise you, we've got something cooking for next year. That's all I'm going to say. We've got something cooking for next year.
That's
But it's trust. We will be back next week, and so this is a very fun show. So thank you for joining along tonight, Zeke.
Absolutely. Anytime. You know how it is.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching tonight. Have a great night, and we will see you back here next Sunday, same place, same time.
Bet your sweet Bippy.